Today, we're diving into the remarkable story of a man who has completely redefined what it means to live without limits. Just take a second with that. Really let it sink in. This is the reality Nick Vujicic has woken up to every single day of his life. It's a pretty intense way to start, I know, but you have to understand this to really get his journey. So, what does a life like that actually look like? Well, it looks like this, a life of surfing. And I don't just mean he learned to swim, he mastered surfing. He even got so good he could do a full 360-degree spin on his board, a move so incredible it landed him on the cover of Surfer magazine. And it doesn't stop at the ocean. Nope. He's also jumped out of perfectly good airplanes. He actually calls tandem skydiving one of the best experiences of his life. Can you imagine that kind of courage? Beyond all the incredible physical feats, he's a global motivational speaker who's traveled to dozens of countries, sharing his story with millions of people. So you have to ask yourself, how? How do you go from that shocking quote we started with to this reality? To really get it, we've got to go back to the very beginning. Nick was born in Melbourne, Australia back in 1982, and his arrival wasn't met with celebration. It was met with utter shock and confusion. You see, the doctors were completely baffled. The condition is called phocomelia. And what made it so much harder for his parents was that there was no medical reason for it. His mom, who was a nurse, had done everything right during her pregnancy. It just happened. Now, this next part is really tough to hear, but it's so important for understanding just how deep this challenge went. His own father was so overwhelmed that he had to leave the room just to be sick. And his mother, she couldn't bring herself to hold her own son for 4 whole months. There were no flowers, no congratulations, just this heavy period of mourning for the child they thought they were going to have. And that early pain, it just got worse as he grew up. I mean, this timeline here paints a pretty grim picture. The bullying at school was relentless. By age 8, he was already battling a deep depression. And then, at just 10 years old, he tried to drown himself in the bathtub because he just couldn't see any future for himself. You can just feel the hopelessness in his own words. When you don't feel like you have a purpose, what is there to hold on to? Thankfully, that attempt failed, and from that absolute rock bottom, something finally began to change. It wasn't one single thing, you know? It was a couple of key moments that completely flipped his perspective on his own life. The first real turning point came when he was 13. His mom showed him a newspaper article about another man with severe disabilities who just refused to let them stop him. And for Nick, seeing someone else like him out there, not just surviving but thriving and helping people, it was a total revelation. A light bulb just went off. And that was the revelation. This wasn't a curse. It was a calling. He suddenly realized that maybe, just maybe, he was made this way for a reason, to give hope to others. And right then, he decided that's what he was going to do with his life. The second turning point came from the most unexpected place. A janitor at his high school saw something in him and just said, "You should be a speaker." Nick thought he was crazy at first, but the janitor kept encouraging him. 4 months later, Nick gave his first talk, and he discovered he had a gift. His life's path was finally set. So with this new purpose, Nick started building a life that just shattered every single expectation anyone ever had for him. Just look at this table. The contrast is absolutely wild. Doctors said he wouldn't walk. He swims, surfs, and plays golf. They said he wouldn't go to school. He went to a mainstream school and got a double degree. They predicted he wouldn't do anything with his life. And now, he's one of the most in-demand speakers on the planet. And to give you a sense of just how big his impact is, this number, 110,000. That's the largest single crowd he has ever spoken to. 110,000 people in India, all hanging on his every word. And through it all, he's kept this incredible sense of humor. He loves telling this one story about being at a traffic light when a girl in the car next to him was just staring. She could only see his head, right? So he thought, okay, let's have some fun. And he did a full 360-degree spin in his special car seat. He said the look of pure shock on her face before she sped off was absolutely priceless. It's just his way of finding joy in every little moment. But you know, maybe his biggest triumph was the one he thought was impossible, finding love. He met Kane Miyahara, who looked at him and said she saw her Prince Charming. He proposed on a yacht, putting the ring on her finger with his mouth. They got married in 2012, and Nick started building the family he had always dreamed of.
That's right, 4. Today, they have 4 children, 2 sons, Kiyoshi and Dejan, and twin daughters, Olivia and Ellie. A full, beautiful family life that was once just a little boy's desperate wish.
So what's the core message that he shares with the millions of people he talks to? Well, it all boils down to one simple, incredibly powerful idea. This is the heart of it all, and he doesn't just say it, he demonstrates it. During his speeches, he'll actually fall down on a table on stage and struggle to get back up, just to show the audience that he will try 100 times if he has to. Because as long as you're trying, you still have a chance. The only real way to fail is to give up. And this is his whole philosophy on life's obstacles. He truly believes they aren't there to destroy us. They're there to test us, to make us figure out what we really stand for, and in the end, to make us stronger. It's not about avoiding the fall. It's about what you do after you've fallen. And that's the question he leaves with everyone he meets, and the one we're going to leave with you today. It doesn't matter how you start or how many times you fall along the way. All that matters is this: are you going to finish strong?